for us? How's the class been for us? Our feedback is very, very important. So let's drop in the chat. How has the class been for us? It can just be fun, exciting, interesting, those words. Okay. And that will be said informative. Thank you. Okay, you so said interesting, so detailed. Wow. By me, thank you for that. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Expository. Okay. Let's keep it coming. I love that. Those adjective, those words. So let's keep it coming. How's the class been so far? Insightful and helpful. Okay. Rebecca said educative. Okay, let's keep it coming. We are close to 50 on the call. So I believe we can drop something. If you have been learning new things so far in the class, it has been wonderful and amazing tutor. Wonderful. All right, all right. Thank you everyone for dropping that. That is a good feedback for us. So today we are going to start with Power BI. We are starting with Power BI today. So we'll be starting our Power BI class today, and we titled today's session Getting Started with Microsoft Power BI. I know a lot of us may have been, let me say, hearing about Power BI and you don't know how to use the tool. So today our facilitator here is ready to take you through the journey of Power BI. And today our facilitator today is Emmanuel Bassi. So I'll just be introducing Emmanuel to us and I hand over to Emmanuel. So Emmanuel is a Microsoft certified trainer. So probably Emmanuel, what we call Microsoft certified trainer is when you do an associate exam of Microsoft, so you tend to recommend you and you get certified as a trainer. So he has 3 years business intelligence, 3 years experience using in business intelligence with Power BI. So he's also a 3 times Microsoft certified trainer. So he has been awarded the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional for 4 years running, and he has trained over 5,000 people in data analytics. So you can see that Emmanuel has a lot of things in store for us. So good afternoon, Emmanuel. Are you with us? Hi, Emmanuel.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Please, can you hear me?
Very clearly, Emmanuel. Good to have you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for telling me. Thank you so much.
So I'll stop sharing my screen so you can share yours. So let's welcome Emmanuel to our midst. Let's welcome Emmanuel. So Emmanuel is ready to take us into the journey of Power BI. So let me see in the chat. Let's welcome him. Let's welcome him. All right. So I'll stop sharing my screen now. So Emmanuel, you can share your screen.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Okay. Please confirm when you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay. All right. So in case I have some breaks around Teams, I've rarely used Teams for presentations, so please forgive me. So good afternoon, everybody, and I hope we are all doing very, very well. So thank you, Pelumi, for the introduction. My name is Emmanuel Bassi, and I'm a business intelligence analyst. All right, and like most of you will not think, I'm resident in one local city in Nigeria called Calabar. All right. Okay. So let's go into what we have today. We are looking at an introduction to Microsoft Power BI. So how many of us have used Power BI before? So let me just see if I can get to see my charts. How many of us have used Power BI before? I just want to know if there are people who have never used Power BI so that we can break some things down. So how many of us have used Power BI before? Please let me know on the charts. If you have used no, I love the no's. Yes, Blessing says yes. Thank you, Yanu. No. Come on, guys. I haven't used it. No. Yes. No, no, no. Oh, looks like based on the statistics, we have a lot of no's. All right, so no problem. So let's go ahead. So when we talk about Microsoft Power BI, so we say that Power BI is basically a collection of software, services, applications, and different connectors. So okay, so like I know that we have already gone into the introduction of using Microsoft Excel and using it for analysis and all that. But Microsoft Power BI is a tool that is mainly focused on data visualization. It was created to focus on data visualization, but over the years, it has moved from not just being a tool that is focused on data visualization to a tool that is handling multiple tasks. So that's why we say that it's not just a visualization tool, but it's a collection of software, services, applications, and different connectors. So what do we mean? I'm going to break those things down into different perspectives. So when you talk about connectors, in Microsoft Power BI, we have over 200, as at the last count, we have over 200 different connectors. So these connectors are places in which data are stored, and you need to be able to connect to these places to get data. So a typical example, Excel. You store data in Excel. You store data on PDF files. You store data on websites. You store data on databases. These are examples of connectors that I am mentioning right now. So we have different connectors, over 300 different places in which data could be stored. And then you connect to them through Power BI. You get access to connect to them, all right, easily. And then you're able to analyze that particular data. Then when you talk about a collection of software, basically means that Power BI itself is broken down into different um, different versions. So we have the Power BI desktop, we have the Power BI service, and then we also have the Power BI mobile. So you look at the Power BI desktop as the Power BI desktop is basically where your development starts from, or it is where you're going to work in terms of most of the works that you're going to do are going to be done on the Power BI desktop. So on my screen now, you can see that I have a desktop. On the far right here, the below one is the Power BI service, and up here is what we have as the Power BI mobile. So let me take that again. So we say that Power BI is a collection of software, services, applications, and connectors. And when we talk about connectors, we're talking about places in which our data is being stored. All right. And then when we look at the collection of software, services, and applications, we say that one thing that is popular in Power BI, which makes it more than every other analytical tool, is that the Power BI is broken into three different parts. We have the Power BI desktop, we have the Power BI service, and then we have the Power BI mobile. And the Power BI desktop is where we have our development environment. So most of the things where you're going to be able to gather your data together from different data sources, where you're going to model your data, and where you're going to be able to analyze your data, visualize your data, is going to be on the Power BI desktop. Then after you've done that development on your Power BI desktop, you now publish it to your Power BI service. And what happens on your Power BI service is where you manage your report. So there are various technical terms that we are going to talk about when it comes to Power BI service. So you're going to talk about things like dashboards, you're going to talk about reports, you're going to talk about applications that you can create from your visuals. You're also going to talk about managing the report in terms of security and all that, right? So those are the things that are done in the Power BI service. And then in the mobile, the only thing that mobile basically does for us is that it enables us to view our reports on the go. So someone has prepared a report for me and I'm traveling. I don't have access to my laptop. I could just monitor the reports on my mobile device. Okay, so I'm going to differentiate a few things. Everything that is created on these are technical terms, because I know that a lot of us have talked about things like dashboard. So I just want to talk about some technical terms in Microsoft Power BI. So according to Microsoft, you can see I'm saying according to Microsoft, any development of visuals that happens in the Power BI desktop is regarded to as a report. So Microsoft believes that everything, even though it's built like a report, a what do they call it now? Even though it is built like a dashboard, right? It is built as a dashboard. Microsoft regards everything on the Power BI desktop as a report. So the reason why I'm saying this is for people who after this course will take the PL 300 exams. Anytime you see something that talks about reports, know that they are most likely referring to the Power BI desktop. So report is associated with the Power BI desktop, while dashboard is associated. Dashboards are created in the Power BI service. So when you're learning Power BI service, you learn about how to create dashboards on the Power BI service. So whatever we are going to create on the Power BI desktop is going to be known as a report. Okay. All right, so there's a workflow of, please, can you confirm if I can take questions now or after my presentation before we get to the demo session?
Hi, Emmanuel. Anyone you prefer, if you want people to ask questions, they can always drop it in Q&A session or inside the chat. So if
Okay.
you prefer when you're done or during the session, anyone is fine. But if there's any question, I will let you know.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Thank you. All right. I was thinking I saw some hands up. All right. That's fine. All right. So there is a flow of presentation when it comes to Microsoft Power BI. How there's a flow of connection when it comes to Microsoft Power BI. So let's take a look at that particular flow. All right. So the flow starts from if you look at my left hand side, I have a folder, I have a sheet, I have an SQL, how a database looks like, SQL database. I also have a cloud database, and then I also have a text file. All right, so the flow of work from Power BI basically starts from here, which is having access to be able to connect to different data sources. And once those data sources are connected, it goes through a process of ETL, which is extract, transform, and load, which is called the Power Query. And from the Microsoft Power Query, it takes us to, I'm sure you've done Power Query in Excel. So it takes us through the process of cleaning the data, and that data is now moved and then goes into our Microsoft Power BI, where we now take time to model the data by defining the relationships. Then once you're done with that, you're able now to create a report from that data that you've consolidated from all the various data sources. So once you're done with that data on your development environment, that data is now published to your cloud environment. It's now published to your cloud environment, which is the Power BI service. And once you publish it to the Power BI service, then you have access to view it on your Power BI mobile. So the flow of work in Power BI is that it starts from your data connection to your Power BI desktop, from Power Query to Power BI desktop, and then from your Power BI desktop, we can get it, the flow of work, to the Power BI service to view, and then you're able to share your report. So this is it. I'll take that again. Your flow of work. Desktop, from desktop, you move it starts from the desktop connecting to the Power BI, the different connectors you want to connect with. Then from there, it's going to move to the Power BI service, and then from the Power BI service, you can have it to view it on the Power BI mobile. Okay, so there are building blocks of Power BI. And let's look at some of the building blocks of Power BI. There are about 5 building blocks of Power BI. And without these 5 critical things, things would not work out in Power BI. Okay. So first of all, we have the we have data sets, right? We have data sets, we have reports, we have tiles.
Hi, Emmanuel. I think we lost Emmanuel. So let me quickly reach out to him.
Hello? Okay. Oh, I think
Yeah,
my
you're
screen
back.
has stopped sharing.
Yes, you start sharing your screen. I think network.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, I think I have one. Someone's hand is raised up or something. But I continue with the building blocks. Okay, I think I saw Charles' hand raised up. Charles, if you're there, you can just
I also have a question in the chat too.
okay, please can you help me read it out? I'm
Okay,
not sure.
the person,
Is it on the Q&A
the
or on the
person,
chat?
no, in the chat, in the chat.
Okay.
But I can read it out for you. So the person says, thanks for the information about dashboard and reports. Please, I read that anything more than I think a page in Power BI service is also a report. Please help me shed a light on this.
Okay, yeah. So that's been a very, very big that's been a very, very big dashboards and reports have been very, very big has caused very, very big issues in the data space, all right, because of the way Microsoft defines it. Okay, so let me just talk a little bit about it. Anything more than a page is supposed to be a report, and a single page, all right, is supposed to be a dashboard, because basically a dashboard is supposed to just be a summary of important information, while a report is supposed to be something that I can dig deep into to get more insights, all right? That's the difference between dashboard and report. But in the Power BI service, when you're creating a report, there is a function, I'm going to say it that way, that you can use. There's something that you can click on to create that helps you to create a dashboard. And it doesn't give you the access to create multiple pages. You're just creating, you say pin this. Okay, so let's look at how dashboards are created. Let's talk about how dashboards are created on the Power BI service. I'll just say it in 2 seconds, in 2 minutes. So this is it. You're finished building a report, but you want critical informations, like maybe I want to be monitoring some critical informations like my total sales, my total cost, and my target. I just want to monitor these three things. I don't want to see any other thing. Just like when you talk of dashboards, look at your car dashboard, for example. Every single thing about the diagnosis of your car does not appear on the dashboard. It is only the critical informations like your door is not closed properly, your boot is not closed properly, your fuel is getting low, your speedometer. Those are the critical things that are on your car dashboard. Okay, your tire is getting low. Those very critical informations that you need on the go. But things like the reason why your engine is making noise, maybe these smart cars now, they also carry a little bit of science to show you that. But the reason why your engine is making noise, it's not going to tell you the reason. You have to use another diagnostic tool to be able to know why your um, engine is making noise, right? Okay, so the difference is that for dashboards helps you to monitor critical informations. So just basic critical informations. Those are things that dashboards helps us to monitor. While report helps us to deep dive into our data. So I don't know if I've been able to answer that person's question. On the Power BI service, anything you see with more than 3 pages are reports, because there are things that you've published from there are things that were published from your either you've created it there or you've published it from your desktop environment, right? But if you want to create a dashboard itself, that dashboard has to be pinned. You have to pick something from your report to pin to create a dashboard. You understand? So you pick from, you have a report like this that has 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. You pick one thing from each of the pages, right, and pin to your dashboard. So no matter how many things you pin, if you like pin 100 things, it's only one page that is going to appear there. So you're going to be able to monitor these critical things just in one page. Yeah. All right. So I hope I've been able to answer that.
Yeah, you can go on,
Yeah.
Emmanuel.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So we said that we have some building blocks in Power BI. And when we talk about building blocks are basically those things that makes Power BI Power BI. Okay. So let's mention some of the building blocks that we have here in Power BI. So we said we have data sets. Without data, you cannot analyze your reports. That's certain. So we have data sets, right? We have visuals. Okay. Then we have tiles. So in Excel, you're told that we name charts as charts, right? But in Power BI, we name them as tiles. So charts are not charts in Power BI. They are called tiles. But when you hear your instructor say charts, please know that the person is referring to tiles. But for the purpose of writing the exam, because these are the little things that make people to not pass that exam. So for the purpose of writing the exams, you just need to know that the charts here are referred to as tiles. All right. So you can see that we have I have something red here, a red line that is barring this particular chart. That is what a tile is. So tiles are each of these particular charts are referred to as tiles. Okay. So we also say that we have reports, and reports is when you have, let me go back again, just a minute. Okay. Okay. So this is what a dashboard looks like. Part of it is dashboard. This is what a dashboard basically looks like in the Power BI service. So you have many things that have been pinned into this particular service, but no matter what you look at it, it's just the page, right? No matter the number of files that you pin in it, it's just going to be returned as a page. Then we have data sets. So data sets are the foundations of anything that you're going to build in Microsoft Power BI. Then we also have here is a report. So reports have multiple pages, right? You create the reports on the Power BI desktop. So you can see that this is the Power BI desktop, and we have multiple reports pages that are inside of this. Then finally, he said we also have tiles. All right, so let's take some questions. So I'm just going to take some questions. What are the building blocks of Power BI? So let me just look at the charts based on what we've learned so far. Please, somebody say my network is breaking. Follow me, please, you can confirm that. So first question one is, what are the building blocks of Power BI? So I'm actually on the charts right now. Building blocks of Power BI. Building blocks. Yeah, data sets. Yeah. Tiles, reports, data sets, tiles, data set visuals, tiles, report, dashboards. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so let's look at the building blocks. Thank you so much. All right, so let's look at it. Visualizations, data sets, reports, dashboards, and tiles. All right, so what is the common flow of activity in Power BI? What is the common flow of activities in Power BI? Common flow of activities in Power BI. So let's go. Thank you, Anu. What's the common flow of activities in Power BI? No ETL. ETL is not really considered, but it's part of it. Common flow. Oh, connectors, desktop. Okay. But you need to give me a full flow, Johnson. Service. Okay. All right. So let's look at it. So you bring data into Power BI desktop, create a report, you share it to the Power BI service, then you can view and interact with reports and dashboards. All right. Okay. So I didn't talk about the last one, which is a collection of ready-made visuals pre-arranged in dashboards and report is called what? An app. So this is what we call an app. This is only done in the Power BI service. And what this does is that if you want to present a particular report to some people in the organization, some of them might not be very technical enough to be able to go to the Power BI service to click the report. So you can create something that arranges all the dashboard in that workspace, all right, all the dashboard in that particular workspace, and then you share it as a link to them so they can operate it as if they're operating an app on their phone. So it's going to pre-arrange them in such a way that they can click on different buttons, all right, to go to different places that they want to go to in that particular report. So that is basically called an app. So I'm going to run into the demo session this afternoon. I think we have about 32 more minutes. All right. So I'm going to run into the demo session right now. Okay. So while I'm trying to share my Power BI screen, so maybe we could take one or two questions from the last from our presentation. All right. So maybe we could take a question from Jamil or Corper's workshop guest, Pelumi.
Okay, I think Wally suggested that we take question after the class, so don't
Oh,
distract the class. So I think that when we are done with everything, so they can always ask their question.
oh, okay. All right. That's fine then. No problem. That's fine.
Thank you.
All right. So let's take an overview of, please confirm you can see my Power BI screen, Pelumi.
Yes, I can.
All
So
right. So
probably
let's
okay.
take an overview let's do an overview of Microsoft Power BI. So we said that part of the things that Power BI is that it has a lot of connectors in it, right? So the Microsoft Power BI screen is just like your general Microsoft applications where you get to see home, insert, and so tabs. So which is populated with tabs and ribbons, right? So that's how I want you to see your Microsoft Power BI. So I'm not sure if they have downloaded Microsoft Power BI. Most of them have it on, if that link was shared on the group for them to download Microsoft Power BI, since this is their first session. Please, can you confirm that, Pelumi?
Yes, we shared that already from the
All
first
right,
day,
thank
so
you.
they should have
Awesome.
it.
Okay, awesome. All right, so just like your general Microsoft screen where you have tabs and ribbons, that's how Microsoft Power BI is organized. All right, so on the Microsoft tab here, we have a home, insert, modeling, view, optimize, help, and then just forget about the external tools because you don't have that. All right, you need to download some external tools which you don't need for now to have the external tools. So let's forget about that. So I'm going to start from my help button. And the help button is a place in which you can go to for a lot of help. So I'm going to start with about. If you want to know how old your Microsoft Power BI is, if it's outdated, or it's still a current version of it. So you just go to help and select about, and about is going to tell you how recent your Microsoft Power BI is. You can see that this is September 2023 version. Okay, so now I'm just going to skip the optimize and go to the home tab just to save some time. So on the home tab, we have some ribbons inside of the home tab. We have the data ribbon, we have the queries, and then we have our visualizations ribbon. So in case your Microsoft Power BI is not showing like my own, so you have to go to files, you have to go to options and settings, you need to click on options, and then you need to go to preview features. All right. Make sure you tick everything here except Spanish language. But if you speak Spanish language, you're free to tick Spanish language. Then click on OK, and then it's going to ask for a restart. Just restart your Microsoft Power BI, and then you're going to have the recent features. So the reason why we activate the preview features is that whatever is a whatever is an update that Microsoft Power BI updates, whatever updates that Microsoft Power BI has updated recently, right? You can tick here, have access to it before it is available to the general public, right? Okay, so let's go. So let's look at different connectors in Microsoft Power BI. So on the Home tab, if you want to connect to some connectors within Power BI, then we are going to come into the Home tab, and under the Home tab, under the data ribbon is where we are going to find some connectors. So if you look at my my get data here, if I select get data drop down, you're going to see that we have lots and lots of connectors here. These are just some of the connectors. If you want to get more connectors, I'm going to click on more. And once we click on more, you can see that these connectors are grouped into different categories. We have the file, we have, these ones are called flat files. So you have them here as file, Excel, text, XML, JSON, folder, and the rest. Then we also have databases, different types of databases that you can connect to, right? MariaDB, MongoDB, whatever database you're thinking of, you could find a place to connect in IBM right here. And then recently, we've had Microsoft Fabric, right? We have Microsoft Fabric. So these are things within the Microsoft Fabric, the Power BI data sets, data flows, data marts, warehouses, lake houses, KQL databases, and so on. Then if you're somebody who works with the Power Platform, the Power Apps, the Power Automate, and you need to get your data from the Power BI data flows or the CDS or Dataverse or data flows, wherever you're storing your data for the Power Apps, then this is where you could easily get the connector. Then if you're also someone who works in Azure environment, so these are the connectors within Azure in which you could connect your data to. Then online services, websites, or you want to drag your data from websites, Google, Azure DevOps, and so on and so forth. Google Analytics, GitHub, you want to analyze your GitHub data, you can find them under the online services and so on. Then others, we also have a blank query where some technical people can, for connectors that are not here, you can build your own connector using the blank query. So you can look at even the popular SurveyMonkey has a connector here. So almost anything that you would think of or any data source that you're going to think of has a connector here. And if you don't see it, try the web. Web is like I'll just say like a neutral one that you could use. Just try the web, and most likely the web should be able to help you to drag that particular data. So we are going to look at about 2 or 3 connectors if time permits today. Okay, so we have get data, we have Excel workbook. These are just popular data sources that you can grab your data from. These are popular data sources that you can grab your data from. The Excel, OneLake, which is now the Fabric, SQL Server, and you can enter data manually right here, Dataverse for Power Apps, and so on. Then if you use the recent data source, you can just select on recent sources to connect to that particular data source. All right, so let's still talk about the Power BI environment before we talk about other tabs. Let's talk about the Power BI environment. The Power BI environment is broken into 3 different types. We have this page, which is called the reports view. The reports view is where you get the real estate to build your beautiful reports, right? The reports view is where you get the real estate space to build your reports. Okay. Then we also have the table view. When you import your data into Microsoft Power BI and you want to look at it as if you're looking at it in Excel, then the table view is where you're going to have a view of that particular data. Then we have another view, which is a model view. So a model view is when you have different tables that you have grouped them together and you want to look at the flow from the facts table to the dimension table, then a very good place to look at that is actually the model view. And then we have some things also on the right-hand side, right, of our reports where we call panes, P-A-N-E-S, panes. So right here, we have the filter pane, we have the format pane, and then we have other panes that are supposed to be here. And if I want to activate those panes, I'll have to go to my view tab, right? And then on the view tab, I can activate my bookmark pane, selection pane, performance analyzer pane, and my sync slicers pane. So there's many panes that you might want to activate. But right now, there are simple ways in which you can activate without going to the view tab, thanks to the updates of Microsoft. So right here, if I want to activate any pane easily, I'll just come here and click the plus button, right? And then just toggle my bookmark pane, and then it's added to part of this list. So if I want to toggle between the bookmark pane and the format pane and then the data pane and all that, it's very, very easy for me to toggle and play around it. Okay. So let's take a look at how to connect to two critical sources of data. I'm going to start with a text file. So let me go to my desktop view and open up a text file. So on my desktop view now, I have a data that is called customer master. So if I open this data, you can see how this data is here inside of this this text, right? You can see that it looks like it's not organized and all that. So let's look at how I'm going to map it into Power BI. So if I go to get data, and I'm going to look for a connector that is going to work. So I'm going to look for a text/CSV connector, all right? A text connector. So I'm going to select text, and then I'm going to go look out for where that data is. I see my customer master data. If I click on the data, click on open, all right, so you see that once I clicked on open, automatically Power BI helped me to map it. It's able to map it. How it did it, I do not know. I do not care. All right. But the whole essence is that it's able to map my data the way I want. The right way to do things is that when you want to bring in the data into Power BI, you click on, I have three buttons activated: load, transform data, and cancel. Right? The right thing to do is to click on transform data. And once you click on transform data, it's going to take you to Power Query. Power Query is actually the environment where you get to assess your data and clean your data, right? Transform your data. It's where the ETL, extract, transform, and the load process works, all right, takes place. So it's actually like it's your Power Query is actually your, I'll call it a mini ETL, all right, where you get to transform your data to different um forms that you want to. A typical example is that if I want to split these numbers in Excel, I know that you have to write some simple codes, but in Power Query, I do not have to write any code to split this number. I'll just select it, and then I'll just go to one of my tabs here and do that splitting. So I'm sure there's a Power Query session that'll take care of that. So once you've loaded your data and you note that your data is clean, how do you know that your data is clean? One simple way is to go to the View tab in Power Query and activate column quality, right? Activate column quality. And when you activate column quality, it's going to tell you the columns that are valid, the data that are valid in that column, the errors in that column, and the files that are empty. So sometimes your data might be more than 1,000. All right. If your data is more than 1,000, you have to go to column profiling based on top 1,000 column profiling and select based on entire data set, because Power Query first previews the first 1,000 rows. But if you want to preview the entire data set, you have to change it to the entire data set so that it gets the accurate report. All right. So I'm going to go to home and I'm now going to click on close and apply. So once you're done with everything you need to do in Power Query, so just click on close and apply. So I'll click on close and apply. And once I do that, it's going to load that particular data into Power BI. Okay, so just the questions. Let me know if you're still following me. Let me know if you're still following me. Just give me a thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Yeah, let me have a thumbs up. Okay, Faith says yes. 14.2, somebody said I can't hear. Pelum, please, can you still hear me? Okay, I get a lot of yeses now. Okay, okay. All right, thank you. Okay. Okay, so I think a lot of persons can still. All right, so a lot of persons are still following me. Okay. All right. So let's look at that data that has been loaded into Microsoft Power BI. Let's look at that data. So we say that for us to view data as if they are in Excel sheets, where do we go to? So quick question, that's the 30 seconds question. Yeah, we are going to show that again, Abdul. Just hold on. Yeah, if I want to view my data as if I'm viewing it in Excel sheets, where in Power BI desktop do I go to? Table view. Thank you so much, Kingsley. All right, so I'm going to go to my table view to view that customer data that we've just loaded. So here, right here, we have a table view that we are seeing our customer data loaded, right? Okay. All right. So if I don't want this data anymore, I can just click on these three ellipses right here, and I'm going to delete the data from my model. So I can just click delete from model, and I'll click yes. Okay. All right. So we are going to connect to another source of data right now. Okay, just a second. All right, so let's connect to the Excel workbook. So I'm going to go to Excel workbook. All right, and I'm going to connect this time around to my Superstore data. Click on open again. And once I click on open, I'm going to select which of the workbook I want to work with, all right? I'm going to work with the table orders. So I'm going to select my orders table. And okay, let me just explain something in that process. Okay, so if you notice that once we connected to the Excel workbook, load and transform data are not active, right? And for me to be able to activate it, I need to be able to select something. And for me to first of all preview, you can select here to just preview your data, all right? But if you want to activate the load and transform data, so you need to use orders, right? You're going to select orders. So when we select the orders here, I'm going to click on transform data. So let's click on transform data. Some people say they didn't see my Power Query before. So let me check now. Okay, so I'm going to just check the charts. All right, so 30 seconds. Let's see how many persons can see this. All right, can you see my Power Query? Yes, yes. Okay, so I think a lot of persons are seeing. Okay, yes, yes. Again, please. All right, so I'm going to take that process again. So the best thing to do is that maybe don't try to do it while I'm doing. You might have to do it much later, right? Don't do it while I'm doing so that it doesn't slow you down. Okay. So I'm going to just do that again. I'm going to close this and I'll do it one more time. Okay. All right. So Excel workbook. Then we are looking for the connector. We want to connect to Excel workbook. So I'm going to click on Excel workbook. And then I'm going to go to locate where the workbook is, Superstore data. I'm going to click on open. Right. So once I click on open, I need to preview these data. For me to preview these data, I'm just going to click outside of the data to preview it. All right, so this is the data I'm looking for. But to activate and transform or load this data directly, I'm going to click check this particular box beside the data. Like we said earlier on, it is a bad practice to load data directly into Power BI. It is always important that you, even though the data is clean, it is just important for due diligence purpose, just transform the data because there might be one or two impurities inside the data that you are not seeing, right? So once you transform it into Power Query, just have a view of it. At least just know that everything is fine. And once you're done with that, you can click on close and apply for the data to load into Power BI. Okay, so on the table view, we can view our data. Let's look at how it shows as a data, as a table, as a model. This is how our data shows as a model. So we have multiple tables. Each of them are going to show as independent tables inside of here. Okay. So just to confirm again, we have like 10 minutes to go and we are going to build a quick report in 10 minutes. All right, so just to confirm that everybody can hear me. So if you can only see the chat screen, what you could do is stop sharing your screen. Sorry, maybe you can just log out and log back in. But I'm going to stop sharing and share again to help everyone. So I'm going to stop sharing and then let me share my screen again. Okay, so I'm sure that everybody should be able to see my screen now. So please, if you can see my screen, just let me know. All right, please just give me 30 seconds and while you give me a confirmation on the screen. Okay, awesome. So I'm back. All right, so everybody can now see my screen, I believe. So I'm just going to go to the report view. So let's look at how to create a simple report. So we said that Power BI, Microsoft have given us a big real estate to build our reports. All right. So we are just going to let me look at this particular data and look at the type of reports that we can build with this data. All right. And for you to build a report, you need a combination of categorical and quantitative data, right? You need a combination of categorical and quantitative data. So we need to look at categorical data and quantitative data that we are going to build from this data. So on this particular data, this is the sales data. All right, so we are going to look at some things here. We have our sales, we have quantity, we have profits. Okay. All right, so we have our sales, we have quantity, and then we have profits. So let's look at, we are just going to build a simple sales report. Okay, so let's look at how to build this report. We are going to look at our major quantitative data we are going to use is going to be our sales column. Well, for the categorical data, we are going to use our subcategory, category, region, and maybe you could look at the customer name. All right, we are going to look at customer name. So let's just build a quick report with this. All right, so to create the reports, I'm first going to, I'll do if you're going to create a report effectively, the best and standard way to do that is for you to start your report on paper, right? So that you don't get confused by the way, but we are going to do this without mapping out our report. So here, let's click our first chart. I'm going to click a stacked bar chart. And once I click a stacked bar chart, it's going to ask me to input some things. It has the y-axis and the x-axis. Remember when we were plotting graphs in secondary school, you're always plotting x against y. So it's the same thing when you're creating a report. So we have on the y-axis is where my categorical data is going to stay on, while on my x-axis is where my quantitative data is going to stay on. So I'm going to select y, and I'm going to select, let's look at maybe, let's look at country. And on the country, on the x-axis, we said we are going to use our sales. So if I scroll down, I'm going to select my sales. Okay, so it looks like we only have United States on this as the country here. So for emphasis sake, I'm just going to take out the country and use the city. Yeah, good. So we are going to use the city. So you see that with this, a very simple chart that is readable has been created. Okay. So I'm going to just click on Control C and Control V. If you want to duplicate these charts, you can just click on Control C and Control V to duplicate this particular chart. If you want to use these same charts, then let's see if we want to use the same chart. I could just remove my city, and then I'm going to put something like, let's look for something like the, let's look at the customer name. Right. So we want to look at how much each of the customers has spent to purchase, or how much did each of the customers spend with our store, right? Each of the customers spent in our stores. Okay. All right. This is not an effective way of reporting. So I need to reduce, I'm going to look at this particular chart, and I'm going to look at the things that are more effective for this particular chart. So we are going to be looking at things like the top 5, using this particular chart. So let's look at something else. I'm going to click on the donut charts, sorry, Control Z. For you to create a new chart, you need to deselect the chart that is selected. So I'm just going to deselect the chart that is selected, and I'm just going to use a donut chart to look for something simple to present. So we are going to present the region, and then under values, is where we are going to put our sales, right? So with that, we can just have a simple break of to know which of the regions that we sold more things to. Then we could also have a line charts. Let's look at having a line chart. Anytime you want to deal with something that has to do with time, you want to look at trends, something that has to do with time. One chart that you shouldn't forget about using should be the line charts. So I'm going to select the line charts. So I'm going to select these line charts. And on the x-axis is where we are going to put our order dates. And on the order dates, I'm just going to leave it, take out the day. I'll take out the quarter and leave my year and my month. So on my y-axis, I'm going to go and use the sales. All right, so you could see that this is between the period of 2014 and 2017. And we have something interesting here that is called the drill down. If I want to go and look at what's happening in the month, I can just go down one level to look at what's happening here in each of the months, right? So if I expand these particular charts, you can see that this is January 2014, even though it's giving us the space in 6 months. So if I want to change these to give me the space for each of the months, I'll have to do some things in formatting, right? I'll have to go to my format and I'll go to my y-axis values. Let's go to the x-axis. I'll go to my x-axis and change this from continuous to categorical. And if I change it from continuous to categorical, you see that we are now going to have each of the months and the year. All right, this 2015 starts with January and all that. So for now, I'm just going to keep it at continuous. Just wanted to show you that quick tip. So let's take it back to continuous. Okay, so continuous is now hiding. Okay. Maybe continuous likes the place. Um, okay, so since continuous has decided to hide and we do not have time to address that, I'm just going to leave that for now. All right. Okay. So with this, you can see that we've built a very simple report, but I'm still going to do some things. We talked about this as a filter spin. And what do you do inside when you talk about something being a filter? What do you do with it? You basically filter, right? So you're going to look at this. There are 3 types of filtering in Power BI. We have number 1 filter is that you can filter on all pages. You want to apply filter on all the pages of your report. You're going to put your filter option here. You want to filter on only this page, the page you're working with. You're going to refilter, put the filter here. You want to filter only on a particular chart, selected charts. Then you're going to select the chart and put that particular filter right inside of here. So I'm going to select this particular chart. I want to look at the top 5. I want to look at the top 5 cities that we sold our products. So if I select this and if you look at these particular filters on this visual, right? These are filters on this visual. So I'm going to select my city and go to basic filtering, click on top N. Top N basically means top number. So I'm just going to say I want to look at the top 7 cities that we sold our products. So, and it's asking me by what value do I want to filter. I'll go to my database and check this and say I want to filter it by my sales. So I'll drag my sales and place it on add filters. Click on apply filters and you see that this has helped. This has filtered it to the top 7 cities, that top 7 performing cities. So I can also select this one, filters on this particular page. So I want to filter the customer to the top 7 customers. So let's look at them based on my sales. And if I click on Let's put on 7, and then I'm going to click on apply filters. All right. So a better way of presenting this, my reports would be for me. So one thing I want you to go back this weekend and learn is you might have to go and learn about the different format options that are inside of this format pane, right? So a typical example is that I want to use my data label. So if I click on the format pane under visuals, I'll go to data labels, right? And under my data labels, let me see if I can change some things. 0.25 million. Let me look at the values displayed in. I want to change the values from millions to thousands. Yes. So I want to change it from millions to thousands. Then after that, once I am done with that, let me go back to my here. Excuse me. Because my data labels are on, then this axis must go off, right? Once your data labels are on, this axis must go off. Sorry, the x-axis must go off. So you see, it makes more sense that this goes off and I have an exact match. So you're going to do that same thing for this particular chart down here. All right, so I've already exceeded my time. I'm so sorry. All right, so this is just a simple way of creating a report. And if you want to add some things like shadow, if you're one of those people that love a fizzy, then you can add a shadow to this particular report. So let me look out for shadow, and then that's a shadow. Okay, so this is just a very simple way, simple introduction to Microsoft Power BI. So let me take your questions. I'm so sorry, I've exceeded my time already, but I think we can still take questions in like 3 to 4 minutes. Yes, please, questions. Follow me, please. Can you coordinate the questions?
All right, Emmanuel, thank you very much for that that demo. We really learned a lot. So if you have question, as we during our session, we give 5 people to ask questions. So if you have any question for Emmanuel during the session, so kindly raise your hand so I can call you. I can see that 2 people raised their hand already. So I just want, if you have question, kindly raise up your hand now so I can know those that have questions. Okay, I can see 3 people. So I need 2 people more. Let's be fast with it. So let's raise our hand now. It's not that question will always bet question. No. So if I start giving people chance to ask questions, you may not have the chance. Okay, I only have 3 people. All right, so I will allow Okpayemi. Hi Okpayemi, you can ask your question now.
Hi, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, the problem I'm having here is that look at my own new visuals. It's not bringing all those options for different charts. I'm only seeing a bar chart.
Okay, so can you take that again, sir?
I said I'm only in the new visual. You know, when we have loaded this data on the Power BI, when you want to
Yes.
make the charts. So on my own chart, I'm trying to make a chart. It's only bringing bar chart for me. I don't know if I can share my screen and show you.
I'm not sure they'll give you that access to share your screen. It's only bringing a bar chart. Okay, so this is it. I might not understand the question fully, but if you click down here, then you're
Yeah,
going to see various different charts.
where is that? Please
Can you
let me.
see my screen?
I can see your screen, sir.
All right, so is your screen just like my screen, or is your screen like my screen?
Yeah, I have home, insert, model view, and optimize and help. So I'm on the home ribbon, home page. So I'm only seeing get
Do you
data.
have visuals? Do you have these visuals here? Can you see my mouse?
Yeah, I can see your mouse, but I don't have all those stuff. I only have new visual. And if I click that new visual, I'm not seeing all those stuff.
Okay, hold on. On the right hand side of your data, do you see visuals, different visuals?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, so that's where you're going to use. That's why I told you that if you want to activate that and have the same screen, you can use it from this end too. All right. That
Okay.
it just means that you're not using the preview feature. So if you want to activate that, you just go to File, Options and Settings,
Okay.
Options, and then once you go to Preview Features, tick everything there. I think the main thing for you to tick is New something, Preview Features, and then I think an object interaction also. So just tick everything here, and then don't tick Spanish language, and then that's fine.
Okay, sir. And my
Yes.
second question is that I cannot see formats too.
You cannot see format pane.
Yes.
Yes, when you update the visual, you can only see format pane in the old model. You can only see format pane when you have selected the visual.
Okay.
You
Okay.
understand? That's when it's activated. But in the new model, you can actually activate it and deactivate it, toggling in with the plus sign. So another way to activate it is if you can't see format pane, go to View tab in the old one, and then somewhere around here, you're going to see the format pane and format and activate.
Isn't the one of 2023, sir? September.
No. I get it, but you're not using the preview feature. So activate the preview feature first before you can use that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, file options, more options, something, preview features.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, boss.
All right, thank you, Okweme. Thank you, Manuel, for answering the question. So I'll give Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
Good
Rachel.
afternoon.
Mr. Emmanuel, good afternoon. Thank you so much for this class. It has really opened my eyes to a lot of things I never knew in Power BI. Though I've heard about Power BI before, but not really conversant on how to use it. But I have a problem. When you when you you told us that to get our data for visualization, go to we click the drop down arrow
Okay.
at get data. Then we first one, how do we know which of these to use? Because you have Excel workbook, we have Power BI data set, and all of these that are there. How do we know which to locate in order to get our data? That's one question, sir. And then when we are
Okay.
maybe when you've successfully located the particular data set you want to actually transform, I have a problem because I was looking at your screen, I saw that in that in your Power Query, you had this particular place where it was showing 100%, 100%, 100%, but mine was not showing that. How do I attest to my data set that it is actually clean for use if it's not reflecting in my own, like if I can't see that 100%?
Okay.
I
All
don't know if
right.
you
So
understand,
yes.
sir.
Yes. All right. So
Thank
sometimes,
you.
all right. So your first question is that how do I identify the right data source? All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do I identify the right data source? I think the best way I'm going to answer that is that is done in the data mapping stage. All right. So when you've been provided with a problem, the very first thing you're going to ask is what source are these data kept? Right? What source are these data kept? So is the data on a database? What type of database? Is it a SQL database? Is it a MongoDB, MariaDB, and all those places? Is it on a Salesforce page or something? So at that data mapping stage is where you're going to know where your data is kept and then what connector you're going to use to connect your data. I don't know if that makes any sense. If the data is kept in Excel, you go to an Excel connector. If it's kept in SharePoint, you go to a SharePoint connector. If it's kept in SQL, you go to SQL. If you want to scrape from the web, you go to a web connector. If it's kept on Google Drive, you can use the web, or you could use the Google Analytics connector or something. I don't even make that make sense. Rachel.
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, so it's at the data mapping stage that you're going to be able to identify that. Then your second question is. So this your second question offers me the opportunity to take you to talk about something I didn't talk about. So after closing and loading your data, because the ETL process is the back and forth process. You understand? You might have forgotten something that you should have done in Power Query. So that doesn't mean that you need to, when I was learning in those days, if I make mistake, I'll close the whole thing and start all over again. It's not done that way. So what you do is that you just go back to, if you want to go back to Power Query, double click on transform data on your home tab, and that's going to just take you back to Power Query. All right. So now, how do you activate this view? You go to your view tab, and then you select column quality. Right. Once you select on column quality, you're going to see the quality of each of the column. But when you're working with real data sets, you get when you're working with real-time data sets or real-life data sets, sometimes a column not showing 100% doesn't mean that that data is not correct. So let me give you a typical example. If you're working with human resource data and the data has date of hire and date of termination, all right, a column for date of hire and another column for date of termination, and I'm still working in that particular organization, my contract has not been terminated. So that means that the particular column, that has these dates, this is date of hire, this is date of termination, that particular column that has date of termination for myself and those people who are still in that organization is still going to be empty, right? So you can have 100% here for date of hire, but in date of termination, you can have like 40%, all right, that are valid, meaning that the others are empty. You understand that point? So does that mean that that particular data, you must find a way to close it up? No, I've not been sacked. Now, you want to sack me. So it depends. So now you've known how to activate the column quality, right? That's basically what you wanted to know. So the data cleaning is important, but it's also very relative to the thing that you are doing. So you must not always have 100%. You just need to give a reason why you shouldn't have 100%. If you have a data that is not 100%, you need to give a reason why it's not 100%. Is it that the data is missing, or is it that something must happen that it's making it not to be 100%? You get? I don't even answered your question, Rachel.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right, thank you, Emmanuel. Quickly, Mubarak, I will allow you to ask your question. Hi, Mubarak.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Please, my first question is concerning this data. How to be given the data, or we are going to organize the data by ourselves? And another thing is, when you are creating the dashboard, I realize that we use this same data. Can we just get another data that we can work on? And please, another thing is, please, how do you do that on top 7? So I want to know it because I didn't, and it was a breaking network from this side then. So I want to know how you did that top 7. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel.
Number one, Mubarak does not want to go and review the video. So he wants a quick fix. Okay. Then number 2, I think Palumi had shared the data with you. So if you haven't gotten the data, you might have to ask in the group. Right. I think he must.
I have the data. Like I was like, maybe that is the only one we are using. Can we actually get another one? Like maybe we can be familiar with a lot of data like that.
Yes, you already have 2 data now. I gave you. You have 2 data. We've worked on one. So work on the second one, which is the text file.
Okay.
You understand? So you already have 2 data to work with.
It's breaking again. Come on.
Well, so work on the second one, which is the text file.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Please, am I breaking?
Okay, sir.
No, you are not breaking. I think it's from his end.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
Okay.
So for the top 7, just
Thank you
review
very
the
much, sir.
video because of time. I still have one single thing to do.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, all right, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. I know. You can ask your question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, boss.
Yes, sir. Please, I have two questions, sir. The first one is, sir, if someone click on a particular column, maybe categorical or numerical, how can we identify the best chart to use for that chart, for that data, for that column? And the second one is, someone was saying like Power Query, Power BI has backend and front end, and Power Query is the backend side, and DAX is the front end side. Please, can you just shed light on that?
Well, I'm not the one that said it, though, so I'll not answer that one. Don't mind me. All right, so I don't know what the person means that by DAX is the front end side. Okay, because if you even want to classify it into front end, I would have said that the visualization is the front end. I would have said that, but I'll not say it. Okay, so you said your first question. Can you take your first question again? I forgot.
Okay, sir. Like if someone click on a particular column,
Yes.
like how can that person identify the best chart to use for that scenario?
Okay. All right. So there's a I don't know if I can explain that in 2 minutes, but there's a psychology in using charts. You get there's a psychology in using charts. I think you have a visualizations class, so that's going to be taught in that
Okay, go ahead.
particular class.
The man.
Yes, sir.
Tatawa. What are no fridge? Now, but first, it's
Is that for me?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't hear Yoruba
Who is
also.
this?
That's
Emmanuel,
for
it's
me.
not for you. I think I need to mute the person. I don't know the person. Let me just look for the
Ah,
person.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
say
sir.
make it another.
All right, you can go on, Emmanuel.
Thank you, sir. All right. So I was saying that there's a bit psychology in using charts in which you might have to, that's a whole class, all right, that you have to learn. So a typical example is that if you want to look at something that talks about trend, right? You want to look at something that talks about trend or time, then the chart that you're going to use is like either a line or column chart. If you want to look at something that compares something, you want to look at comparison of something, then you have to be looking at things like the bar charts, and a few other charts like that. And then there's a reason why you need to use histogram, area charts, and all those things like that, right? So you just need to, I think you just need to wait for that particular class for you to have a good understanding on how to use the charts, right? Because some certain things influence why a particular chart is used. And then your second question was Power Query is back end, DAX is front end. Well, in the data community, especially on Twitter, there's been a lot of back and forth around some things. But Microsoft, the original owners of the software, has not told me which one is backend and front end. So I'm going to leave it like that. I just know that Power Query is used to clean data, right? Since I'm not a web developer, so I'll leave front end and back end. Power Query is used to clean data, all right, and transform my data, while Power BI is where I use to analyze my data. I can analyze the data. If it's not too tasking, I can analyze the data without DAX. So DAX is just a language that I use to write advanced formulas, right? It's just for formulas. So I don't know why DAX would be front end. So I think that helps.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Palumi, I think that was the last question, right?
Yeah, thank you very much, Emmanuel. I
Okay,
don't know
just a
if
second. I just need to round up with something. I think I forgot to tell them this. Every single reports that you're creating must have a title. So please forgive me that I did not give a title. So for you to create a title here, right, I'm just going to go to the text box, select the text box, and I'm going to go inside this text box and write sales reports. Okay, then let me tell you one secret around this thing. If you want to move this box around, then go to the edge of the line to be able to move the box around. This box punished me, so that's why I can't forget it. Just go to the edge and then move it around. Then if you want to make any improvement on it, you must highlight the whole of the data inside of here to be able to write things on it and then to change the data. So that's sales report. You see that you've been able to increase it to a bigger size. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of today's class. It's been good meeting with all of you. So please don't forget to follow me on social media. Let's have some encouraging conversations on Twitter or LinkedIn. Let's have some encouraging conversations. My Twitter name is Drill Libasi, and my LinkedIn name is Emmanuel Bassi. So please feel free to connect with me on Twitter.
All right, thank you very much, Emmanuel. So before we go, I don't know if Adewale have something to say. Hi, Adewale.